So Dylan, why is it so hard to wait to buy what we want, especially when it comes to money? Just from your own perspective, what do you think? What comes to mind?
Yeah, no, I think it's because, truthfully, I think we are a bit entitled, especially
Interesting.
as a culture.
Yeah,
In the kind of American Western culture that we live in, we're used
sure.
to, getting everything we want like a microwave instead of a crock pot, and
Yeah,
so we like deserve everything we want when we want it,
yeah.
everything we need when we need it, and so
So
the
would
idea of
you say it's almost like just baked into us from like when we were born?
Yeah, for the most part, we all come from different backgrounds. We all come
Sure.
from different, upbringings. But like I've seen it in kind of my upbringing. There's this mindset amongst people who grow up having less than others, that when they
Hmm.
reach a hood, that because they didn't have what others had when they were younger, they feel entitled to more or to something else that they didn't have that others did, even when taking those things puts them in a worse financial position, i.e.
Yeah.
like, hey, I always drove, terrible cars. My parents always had old cars. I didn't have a car when I was 16. So I'm 22. Now I'm going to go out. I'm making money. I'm going to get this crazy nice car with an $800 payment, no matter, and nobody's going to stop me because I deserve
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. 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 So, yeah, I mean, what we're talking about today is we're talking about this idea of delayed gratification. We're Money Mavericks. We're simply a community. My name's Josh. This is Dylan. We're a community to help you think differently about money. And like I said, today we're talking about delayed gratification, maybe something that is quite foreign to a lot of us, or maybe even all of us. If not foreign, then at the very least uncomfortable to us, because like you said, it's like we want what we want when we want it. So if you could just define what, uh, delayed gratification is, would you do that for us, Dylan?
Yeah, yeah. I simply put, delayed gratification is the ability to resist an immediate reward or temptation in order to receive a bigger or better reward or benefit later. It's about self-control and patience,
Mm-hmm.
where you wait or work towards a long-term goal rather than opting for, something easy or something enjoyable right away.
Right.
For example, right? Choosing to save money instead of spending it. That's one of the basic, forms of delayed gratification. It allows for greater financial security or reward in the future. And it's a valuable skill, really. Delayed
Sure.
gratification is a valuable skill beyond finances. It's linked to almost every area of human life, from finances to academics to relationships. It helps people make decisions with long-term benefits in mind.
Okay, so like answer this question like in maybe one, maybe two sentences. Like, why is delayed gratification so important to our financial success?
Yeah,
One
I
or one
mean,
or two sentences, no more.
that's tough. I want to ramble like I usually do. I mean, delayed gratification sets you up for future success. I think is
Yeah.
if we could answer that in one
Dude,
sentence.
and the crazy thing is that by not operating in delayed gratification, it's almost like you're stealing from your future in a lot of
Yeah,
ways, if you want to think about that. So it's like, hey, hey, have everything you want today, but you're robbing from your future self. You're stealing from your future self. Because like in our modern society, we promote this instant gratification, the opposite of delayed gratification, fast shopping, quick delivery. I want Amazon to deliver it, not in 2 days and not even in 24 hours. I want it today. I want it in a few hours, right?
yeah,
And so we want this instant gratification, which makes delayed gratification that much more difficult because our culture is constantly pushing instant gratification.
yeah. It's what
Um,
we talked about in the intro. And you just said it, but like it's almost like we now in the culture we live in come out of the womb with this expectation that everything is going to be quick and easy. I mean,
yeah,
I even just like Katie and I have been shopping for new iPhones for the last few weeks, kind of looking around for the best deal. Finally
yeah.
pulled the trigger on Saturday. I pressed order on apple.com and they were at my door this morning, which is Monday morning. crazy.
That's
like
wild. Less than
like
48 hours.
36 hours tops. And it was
Yeah.
at my door. Like what were, like, and that, whether it's Uber Eats or, whatever it is that just makes things come to us quickly, we naturally now expect, like I said earlier, everything's going to happen and operate as if it's a microwave and not a crock pot. But
Right.
when we start talking about finances, no matter how quickly our world changes and shifts and moves quicker, personal finances will never work that way.
Yeah.
It's not get rich quick. Sure, you might have a few people that got lucky with some random cryptocurrency overnight kind of thing, but it's not a sustained recipe to financial success. So let's start talking about that, Josh. How
It's
does
boring, the most successful financial strategy is the most boring one. It's just discipline to keep doing the boring thing day in and day out. And so, one of those things, obviously, some maybe specific areas, savings and investments. So delaying purchases or lifestyle upgrades allows you to build savings and investments that do grow over time. As well, avoiding debt, obviously, and because then you're paying to have that money sooner in order to buy whatever it is that you want sooner, but you're also paying interest on that. And that's what we would call the cost of money. So avoiding unnecessary spending helps prevent accumulating debt, which reduces financial stress. And then lastly, like financial stability, long-term rewards, such as, financial independence, early retirement, or large investments. Those kind of things are only possible through consistently practicing delayed gratification. And again, like it all comes down to delaying what you want today so you're not stealing from your tomorrow.
That made me think of you saying that made me think back to my decision to purchase another iPhone. Just kind of an illustration I think somebody might resonate with. I know a lot of people in my kind of circle, people around me, that like they have to have the new iPhone every single year. It releases and they get it. They pay for the extra upgrade program or whatever so that they, get the new one, whatever it works, however that works. But what you end up finding yourself is this cycle, like where you are never paying off a phone. Like you're always in debt to a cell phone company for a phone versus like the decision I made was like, the phone I recently just upgraded from, I had for 4 years. I paid I paid for it in cash when I first got it, didn't have a payment for 4 years and waited to get one until I literally had no other choice because the other one crapped out. That's the difference in like delayed gratification. And so I had 4 years of saving money instead of 4 years of payments to some phone company. And that money I was able to save. So that was just an example that I kind of was thinking of. You could extrapolate that to so many decisions that we make.
Totally. And, and again, like in concept, like this all sounds great, right? Like in theory, it's like, okay, cool. Like just stop spending, on things that I don't need with money I don't have. Right. But in practice, like what does it require? Well, at Money Maps, we believe it requires a few different things: community, accountability, and discipline. And,
That's right.
And frankly, discipline really happens best within community and accountability. This is why we harp on this so much, because the role of community in developing patience and discipline helps you to set yourself up for success in those things, so that you have people who are holding your feet to the fire. So join our free community. It'd be great. But maybe even beyond that, how do you think, like, I don't know, maybe it's more of a psychological side of things, but how do you stay on track with delayed gratification? And maybe even to clarify that a little bit, like, why is accountability so crucial in this idea of delayed gratification?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, you've got somebody holding your feet to the fire. It helps reinforce what you're trying to accomplish. And so, an example is like, you could have an accountability partner who regularly checks in on your savings goals, your spending habits. Maybe you're sharing bank account records, whatever it is, to kind of just keep each other in check. And that looks a lot of ways, whether it's with a friend or a group. even, making in our community, like kind of a public commitment, like a group commitment to where,
Right.
going to achieve,
This
work.
is what we will commit to. This is what Money
Yeah.
Mavs commits to.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so, that's kind of, that right there, I know we're not super far into this, but like, that's what we're dreaming that this community will be a group of people that rallies around each other to hold each other to these ideals. We don't just want to like talk at you. We want to walk with you in this, because we're not experts. We struggle with this like day in and day out. We're wrestling with these, the
Temptations.
Yeah, exactly. And so, in that, and talk about discipline a little bit. It is kind of the foundation of financial success, financial success. And so, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. I mean, we've all been at the store or shopping on Amazon or something like that. And, we've walked past something or scrolled past something, I guess is maybe a more accurate way of putting it in 2024. We've scrolled past something on Amazon and we're like, oh, that looks intriguing. And you start exploring it. And then before you know it, you've got, $100 in your shopping cart. And it's like, okay, like, were you just as happy without having that stuff? Frankly, yeah, you were, So like, what does this do to us by putting ourselves into and digging ourselves into that hole of buying things that we don't need, rather than buying things like, investments that are going to produce for yourself long-term financial success, but you don't get to see it. You don't get to hold it. It's not like you get to hold a stock or something like that, but it requires this consistent discipline to stay the course and prioritize long-term goals over those short-term desires, like things like sticking to a budget, resisting lifestyle inflation, meaning that, you're resisting the urge to like upgrade your lifestyle, or choosing to invest instead of spending on non-essentials, like I said. So, get off of the Amazon app and get onto an investing app or something.
That's right. Yeah. You saying that made me think, you kind of talked about that idea of like lifestyle creep. And how so often, like, I hear it in the people around me, and some of you listening are probably experiencing this. The second that you get a raise, you start to think like, what else can I do? How can I make my life better? What else can I buy? What else can I like? And that's the idea of lifestyle creep. The more money you make, the less money you end up having, because you just end up spending more of it. And so that's a prime example of delayed gratification, right? What if you set a budget and stick to it, and like, this is all I need to live and function. And anytime there is a raise, rather than spending that on upgrading my life, what if I put it into my Roth IRA or my 401k?
And again, bro, like, this sounds really good. You're like, oh, that sounds like such a good idea. But the emotional and psychological side of it that takes over when you have even a few extra $100 coming in each month, you're like, oh, sweet, a few extra $100. Like, I'm going to go, out to a nicer dinner, or I'm going to buy something that I, again, frankly, really didn't need, but wanted. And at the end of the day, it like becomes really pointless, right? So how do you build this like financial discipline, like really quick? Like, what tips do you have?
Yeah. I mean, just thinking, we've talked about it time and time again, but like, clear, achievable goals. You got if you don't have goals, you're not accomplishing anything. And so that, saving for a house, paying off debt, having a goal like that makes it easier to delay gratification. Automate savings and investments. Set up automatic transfers to your savings account, your investment accounts. What this does is it allows you to not rely on willpower alone, but to have that's something practical that's holding you accountable. Create a reward system. Use small rewards to celebrate progress towards your larger goals. You're kind of like giving yourself positive reinforcement, right, for delaying gratification. Maybe if you cross this barrier by the end of the month, you get to go out with friends one night, or something like that, where you're celebrating. And then just break big goals into those small milestones. Achieving smaller financial wins along the way keeps you motivated and to continue delaying gratification. It's a bit like kind of like Dave Ramsey's snowball effect. You know, one thing after another builds, you know, until it starts kind of becomes, you know, all encompassing. And so, I mean, talk a little bit more specifically, I guess, thinking about this idea of delayed gratification.
I want to talk about like, because like it's all great and everything, but like the big why here is the long-term benefits of delayed gratification. Like that's really what matters. And like it really, delayed gratification and putting off things that you want today in order to say yes to it, you know, tomorrow, is essential for achieving long-term financial goals like building wealth, like buying a house, you know, or achieving financial independence, whatever that may look like for you. And so by consistently saving and investing instead of just spending everything that you get, you give your money time to grow and work for you, as opposed to you working for it. So, you know, why don't you just kind of summarize some key points, you know, delayed gratification, what just to put a bow on things.
Kind of to put a bow on it. Yeah. I mean, delayed gratification, really, it's a twofold, you know, mindset, right? It's being willing to say no to things we think we want or need when we don't really, for the sake of our future, for the sake of our financial future. The amount of times I hear people just kind of, and some of you listening, this might be your mindset, right? You might be thinking, I can't get ahead. I can't get ahead. I can't get ahead. Well, let's take a look. Where are you spending your money? There sure is a lot of Uber Eats. There sure is a lot of like, you know, impulsive, you know, immediately gratifying things, right? And so that's the idea. We're just trying to figure out together, right? Where in our life are we acting on impulses in a way that's harming our future? And so, you know, just kind of as a challenge to you guys, you know, anybody listening, you know, put it in the comments, you know, whatever, identify one area where you can start to practice delayed gratification, whether it's postponing a certain purchase, increasing savings, taking, you know, one small action step towards that today. And I'd love for you guys to just share what you guys are thinking, share your progress in that. But remember that delayed gratification is the key to financial success, and it can be strengthened through community, support, accountability, and discipline.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And like, you know, I mean, we say it all the time, but like, just join the community. Like, it's free. There's a free tier. Like, you're losing nothing, and you have everything to gain by being a part of a community that has your best interest in mind, and that's going to help you achieve your financial goals. And it's not just like an idea that stays in your head. It's like, these are people that actually want to help you grow and are going to hold you accountable. And again, this is why Money Mavs is different, because we're building a community around these things instead of just saying, hey, here's, you know, a 10-step program for how you can achieve financial success. It's like, no, we're going to actually develop a personalized plan for you. And we're going to bring people around you who are going to push you and hold you accountable so that you can stay disciplined.